been WhatsApping, bombing you.
Okay, man. Why don't you show me what you got? What's my margin? How much does Karen owe me? 21 leaks. Bunch of lettuce.
Why are you disconnecting?
Oh no.
Oh, fuck.
For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake.
Just fucking connect. Connect. Go. Oh, it's doing that flicking on and off thing again.
What's on and off the desktop?
Yeah, it tries and looks like it's making a connection, then doesn't.
You may need to restart the app on your desktop.
Yeah,
That's what I get the best results from.
Yeah.
Because it is a very flaky app.
It is very flaky.
It does some weird stuff. Like, for me, it asks for admin permissions on every launch. I'm like, can you not just...
It's like, what are you up to?
What you did? What you did?
You didn't need that.
What you did?
In a second. Guys 3 ready? Yes. That looks like my question. Come on.
Well, Maxwell, I'm connected.
Well, you can open the bot because it's in the thing.
And did I just sign up for some jockeying? Did I? Okay, let's see.
Connecting. Yes, got it. Okay. Right. Share screen. Continue. Okay, here we go. Right. So this is the blank canvas commissioner. So I'm just going to click that. So the system prompt really only tells it about what a CRUD database does. Asks it to confirm, not hallucinate, etc., and gives an example. So it's pretty small. I'll show you actually. That's the whole system prompt.
Give me a sec. A prime directive. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna This is me being rude. I just want to show you something before it escapes my mind because it's useful to you.
Do you want me to stop sharing? You need this screen.
Yeah, if you just give me the screen very quickly. I keep forgetting to tell you about this thing.
And are we recording?
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it.
All right, I'm going to do that as a backup as well because it's a bit flaky. Okay.
Here we go. This is pistol whipping from OpenAI.
Mm-hmm.
This statement I thought that you could benefit from because this is them telling you how to pistol whip what you
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly it. Yeah.
But that's how they would do it.
Right. It's interesting that they've come to the need of pistol whipping as well.
Yeah, but like how they capitalize about what you need, and then they capitalize do not, and then they
capitals are really important.
Seems to be
generally quite effective. Yeah,
because probably most of the web is written in lowercase, and when you see caps, it's usually someone's mad.
Yeah. I use caps quite a lot, but that's quite a neat little.
Yeah. Anyway, I just need to get that out of the way because I thought you would like that.
Yeah. No, that is very much on the philosophy of this. Anyway, so.
Right.
you
Just
see.
let me just have a read quickly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, some good use of caps there.
Yeah. Oh, I've also found you can overuse caps. It starts
Yep.
to lose definition if
Yeah, just
everything's in caps.
everything's urgent, so it's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the difference here is that what I thought I would have to split out those functions of like create, update, delete, and
Mm-hmm.
treat them as different stacks, but you've managed to cram it all into one.
Yeah. I mean, it's only 47 lines long. Actually, most of the time of the last couple of days, this started off about 400 lines long.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to bots about how to constrain it and get it smaller and smaller and
Mm.
smaller.
Oh, examples. Oh, that's good. Okay. Cool.
Okay, so this is like the commissioner. So this is I've just cleared it. This is a blank sheet of paper.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you want to run this and go on
No,
and
you
text
show
it
me,
or?
because what'll happen is like just show me the best bits.
Okay, so right, what shall we build a database on? I was doing fruit, but
Customers.
customers. Okay. Oh, you do that thing. It needs to get primed, doesn't it? I usually say hi. Oh, there you go. Okay, all right. Give me a different name for a customer. Give me
George.
no, a different description.
What?
Actually,
What? I don't understand your question.
sorry, I've got it. I've got it. Add a customer with a forename of Jill. So I've previously said the name is now
Right, so now it
varying up.
needs to
Forename is the
it needs
same.
to change the schema.
Yep. So it's being consistent there. Address not provided because it knows it needs a address for Jill. Um, Jill would like to buy.
So it's actually storing the records in its brain, like in its in the session. Sorry, in its session history,
Yeah. It's
and
really
it's
cool
able
and
to.
incredibly consistent. It's incredibly consistent because after being pistol whipped, it was hallucinating a lot. But now it's effectively providing
Man,
a
that's
memory
interesting.
schema. And here we go. So it doesn't know what a curtain is, and doesn't know what a purchase is. Okay, so
So it's inventing the schema
yeah,
as it goes. Man, that's beautiful.
curtains are red and 80 centimeters wide. Just for shits and giggles, before you jumped on there, I did a Google Translate for an interaction in Spanish, and it updated the schema. So it translated the schema names appropriately, and then went back to English, and it was correct. So here's it's added now. Okay, so we know the
All right.
size.
So what I would
We got
need
the
to
price.
I'd need to hook that with rights to the file system.
Yeah, just persistent memory is
Yeah,
the thing because it's just in the session at the moment.
right. But it's doing an amazing job of it.
Yeah.
But I think what you've shown is that with some well-crafted persistent memory, you could get the same results as what you're seeing here, because it's like, okay, I need to add a product. All right, here's what a product record should look like. Oh, you don't like that? All right, fine. And then it sort of helps you build out the record system as it goes, where the only real pre-primed rule is consistency.
Yeah. Exactly. Blackout. Blinds.
A product called Blackout Drunk. Blackout Blind Drunk.
Okay, so now it's saying size because it knows about size.
Yeah,
It's,
right. So the schema
it's
went up.
induced price. I've not talked about price at any point here.
Well, you did. You said buy.
Yeah. It's I'm totally pumped by this.
That's
This
pretty
is
good, man. That's pretty good.
solid. This
That's
is pretty
pretty good.
solid. It's all
That's
it needs is a
pretty
place
good.
to stash this information over between sessions.
All right. Okay. Well, shall we move on to? I'll show you where I'm at, and I
Yeah,
just need
please.
to very quickly get from you the components that are required from me. I don't want to get into a discussion about whether an approach is right, wrong, or otherwise. I want to talk about the components that can facilitate any given approach.
Okay. All right.
So, I have. I will add for you today a mechanism to reset your session, but for now,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get that. You have to actually blank the page.
Well, you can actually put an assistant prompt to forget the previous session. That works.
It won't work for this because
Okay,
there's a distinction between what gets sent to the bot and what gets presented on the screen, and it appears like it is. It seems generally a. It seems not a good idea to present to the user something that's different from what's being sent to the bots.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do I delete my thing? I've lost. This is very strange. I'm sorry. Oh, there. The button was hidden and I couldn't scroll down. Good. It's funny that, right? Like the guys that made browser UI can't give me a good UI to use their browser with. Okay.
Oh, the irony.
So right now what's happening is a sysprompt is being loaded, and this is being loaded from the file system that's being served. Oh, I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's such a boomer mistake to do. Sorry. I'm so sorry. It's been a rough couple of days.
Okay. Right.
Okay, so this is, I will distinguish the graphics, but this is the sysprompt. What the first tool I'm making is the ability to edit that sysprompt from within this thing. So you'll say, I'd like to edit the sysprompt, and then it will.
I see. Oh, that's neat. That's
right,
neat.
and then you'll say commands like reset my session, and then that'll actually, it won't just insert a new message in the session. It'll dump your chat, and under the hood, how that's working is because if I make a new page here, that's loading the same thing, which is sort of a problem, but sort of a blessing, because you want persistence, but you don't want it to be in every tab, because I'm like, is this a new tab?
Mm. Hmm.
Now,
Okay.
but if I come over here and I'm like, what was the last thing I said? At that point, it it loads up, because the storage beneath it is actually shared by both tabs. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm making is a way to have the concept of sessions where each time you open a new tab, you get a new session. And so when you issue the command restart my session, it is the same as making a new tab.
Right.
But all of the sessions on the file system are still there and available, and you'll be able to browse them.
Okay, so you can refer back to it. You can make a mistake saying, actually, no. Go back to the last session.
You can switch between sessions if you want.
Yeah, yeah.
So that'll be the same as if you're in the terminal and you type bash, you get a new shell. If you're in the shell and you type bash again, you get another shell, and you have to exit out
Yeah.
of the shells.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That works. That works.
Now, I have managed to get execution of code running in the Git file format, and the way I've done it, this is a path to a file called chat-1.io.json.
Mm-hmm.
That anything with the suffix io.json will be interpreted by the code I've written as something that needs to be executed.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, how that looks, I promise I'll get to my questions soon. I just wanted to give a brief overview of what's going on. Okay, so this is effectively the new Covenant format. It
Mm-hmm.
exports an API, and it exports an object with a bunch of functions.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's calling the OpenAI chat that you just saw.
Mm-hmm.
This function is no different from any other function, and you can simply change. You will be able to edit on the file system the configuration that defines what gets called. So this, man, when I go to explain it, it suddenly sounds terribly complicated. The thing that's doing the AI calls is genericized here. That's what I spent the last 2 days doing. It doesn't matter that it's calling AI, it could be calling any kind of code. And so an example of other code that's useful is a function that applies an operation to every file in a folder. So you're like,
Right. Right.
do all.
Right. So
right?
like grep,
Yeah. And so some of those functions are AI capable, which is what the thing that you're chatting with is. But other functions will be things like relay. So if I'm like, well, I set an action here, but I actually want it to go over here. Just very basic system plumbing commands like a for loop, a while loop. Being able to change the configuration that gets used to call the AI. So like changing the model, changing the, if I want to support different AI APIs, then I just make a different isolated function, and I just call that or wire that up inside the system.
Yeah. And is that in bytecode when you do that, or is that dynamic?
It's a mixture. So isolate all of the functions that run for pain in the ass reasons, have to have the file name prefix isolate dash. So if you just ignore that,
Yeah.
and this is really the chat function.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is every time the function gets called, it gets given the parameters that it needs to be called with, but it
Mm-hmm.
also gets given a piece of config, where the piece of config is something that you would be able to edit on the disk. So you'd use HAL to navigate to this particular config, and you'd treat that as a database entry where you say, I want to use model 3.5, I want to have a temperature setting of 1,
Mm-hmm.
and so you'd be able to edit the config, and then the next time that that prompt gets called, it would use those new settings. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to make for you is a system that you can edit how the system performs to try and replace the playground, and also give the playground persistent memory plus the stuck loop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
So, oh, pinging away here. Sorry, what's that?
that's
I can
basically
ignore it.
it.
I can ignore it.
Um,
So, do I, because the real goal mine here is if I can just talk in pseudocode,
yeah,
so all I need to do is be logical and self-consistent, but
yeah,
nothing else.
yeah. So that's the bit I'm wrestling with is that part has to have a test suite, because
Yeah.
you need to be able to rerun things that you've said before, and you need to like tweak them and iterate on them, and
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
do that. So that's what I'm sort of trying to noodle out. But I'm convinced that that fundamental aspect of having this ability for the file system to be written to, and then it triggers a function, is sort of like acts like a SQL trigger, but it's actually, it can be anything. That
Yeah.
seems to be the key, because that was really the big aspect of interpolse, was that you could cause that kind of deterministic, replayable um, wiring up of function inputs and outputs.
Right. And rewindable. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. And so the performance of the system is exceptional, and there's sort of loads of room for tuning. But even just my naive implementations, it's the equivalent of maybe 10 milliseconds of pulse, which
Really.
is yeah, which is
Hmm.
that's faster than Interpulse was,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also got this Git structure already there. So
Right,
uh,
right. So, if I were to want to create a new function, what I'd want to do is to talk to a bot that helps me create pseudocode.
uh
That's easy enough.
that's not what I'm trying to. What I'm trying to make you is,
Mm.
you would never write code. You would only supply config, and so config can be written in Markdown files, where it can be a combination of system prompt plus uh, other types
Yeah,
of plumbing
yeah.
rules, like do
I see
this.
what you're saying. Yeah. What I was saying was, the way I got to the earlier demo was I wrote a bot to help me write a no schema
Right,
database.
right.
And I was instructing it to help me write the system prompt. So that system prompt was
Yeah. Um,
mostly AI, not quite completely, but
okay,
that's
so
my partnership. That's
yeah, I'll need to think about how to do that. That should be possible. I just gotta work out how. My biggest concern is any requirement we may have for splicing of inputs. So here is, for example,
mm-hmm.
that's if this was multiple bots.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, I'm just displaying a single session. If
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to present to the user interactions that were made up of the splicing of multiple independent bot interactions.
Mm-hmm.
That part I'm a little bit fuzzy on because I'm not sure how that
So,
should be.
let's see if I understand you here. So, for example, Dave asks something complex, and Hal goes, right, bear with me. I'm going to ask other bots.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
that
there's,
part seems fine. That part seems fine. But
yeah,
we in our previous demo we had the concept of the goalie and the runner,
right, yeah,
and the
yeah,
goalie and the runner were being we were presenting to the user a chat history that the bots never saw because I was splicing in here's when you were talking to the goalie, here's when you were talking to the runner, and I was interleaving this what I showed the user, but
yeah.
the bots never saw it. And that, how much of that do you want?
Um,
Doing a single call, I
mm,
can easily make that look like a function call, like a function call to a bot. I can present as a separate thread because I think that we should hold the principle that you don't show the user what you didn't show the bot.
don't
So
show the user.
isolation.
Yes.
All right. Let me just give
Yeah.
you just to be 100% sure that I've explained the concept that I want correctly. Can I draw on this whiteboard, or would you prefer I made a new one?
I think this is overtaken by events, so if you've got enough space, or create a new one,
Oh
whatever.
god damn it! This fucking whiteboard thing. It dropped the circle way off my desk. I'm like I can't.
Oh man, you need to get one of these desks with the leather. It works like a dream.
I don't
Right?
need leather. I have neoprene. I have neoprene.
Does that work?
Works beautifully. Works better
Yeah.
than leather. It's like no cows were harmed.
Ah, I hate cows. I eat them all the time.
I eat them all the time too. Doesn't mean you got to insult them by also drawing on their hide. My apologies. This is okay. We're in business. We're in
No
business.
problem. Go for it. Yep.
Now, let's see here. So I'm like, okay, chat, tool call, tool call,
Okay. Give me.
tool
Give me.
call,
Oh,
tool
sorry.
call,
I'll need examples here. But yeah.
completion, chat. Yeah.
Okay. Give me an example of each of
Right,
these
okay.
lines.
All right. So let's say we start here and we're like, when is Easter gonna be? And then Hal's like, you mean Easter next year? Yes, that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me make a tool call to the date calculator, right? Which would be something that you had programmed in natural language that described how to work out things to do with dates.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it was this function was a collection of markdown files that represented the sysprompt, some examples, and a suite of tests that you'd concocted that, given a range of inputs, had acceptable outputs.
So, sorry. Do you mean helps there? Is that
Helps,
help?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I think
Yeah.
helps become
Yeah.
the sort of like a natural language program that can be imbued with some actual programming function calls as required.
Yeah.
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 So
Okay. So the help the NL
let me go.
knows about some bitcode which can just go off and call and then comes back.
Yeah, yeah, but it doesn't
Right.
need to. It doesn't need to be baked code. It can be just natural language that's being
Yeah.
interpreted. But
Yep.
the point I want to show with this thread here is that the let's say that that was a 3.5 turbo call, and it
Uh-huh.
it has no business knowing what the
Yeah,
chat
correct.
history was.
Correct. It just
It
has its instructions.
Right, right, and it gets
It's
called with functions that are of the format that it knows, because when the main bot loaded up this function or the help for it, it knows type of uh, what type of parameters to call this function with.
yep.
So it then makes that call. This is not machine code insofar as, or any beyond the fact
hmm
that it's doing an IO call that makes an external API call loaded up with all the things that you had tested and were happy with.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So it's
So that
not.
transition from the third white line to the
Yeah,
first red line
yeah,
is the if the white line, if I understand you correctly,
yeah,
its job is to well format something that's passed off to the red line.
yeah,
Red line doesn't need to know anything about the session.
yeah.
It
So the
just needs
red
to
the
do
red
what's
line is
told
a
to it.
way of making the AI look like a simple function call, and it
Right.
all it does is it takes the input parameters and then spits out a result.
Yes.
Right. Now, along the way, some types or some classes of function call may have need to interact with the user. So
I
we
see.
don't want to
Right.
go function call out dum 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 back to the main bot, ask some things back again. I mean, we we well, now that I say it out loud, we could do that. But the point I was trying to make was that this execution, because it's isolated, I want to present it in a separate thread,
hmm
because that
Yep.
sort of indicates that it wasn't part of this main line, and it might actually make sense to, if it needs something, it would sort of return just like a conventional function.
What's the pain associated with injecting um, into the the prompt screen from a separate session?
Uh,
So it's
um,
like,
you mean
hang
from
on,
this red line? Like, what's the pain that I'm trying to
yeah,
avoid by calling back out to here?
no,
Uh,
well, how much pain would it be to get it to do? So, for example,
I
first
guess
three
all I'm trying to
white
do is
lines.
I'm trying to avoid two API calls. I could just get
Mm,
over that. It's because it's like, first of all, you call out to the AI function, it does some
mm.
stuff, it gives back a result that requires further user input. Then you have to take that output and send it along with this previous chat history up to the original AI, and then get the result back, and then make another function call, and then carry on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I guess that's actually,
I'm
we
not
can
sure.
just deal with that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's necessary.
Well, what else are you going to
Um,
do?
just a second. Let me get my whiteboardy thingy up. Mm, yeah, setting up on my good leather, Scottish leather. Right, where can I go? We don't have much space here. What I was thinking is, you've got your original three lines, and then there's a call out to red. So the last thing is red. So you now got a red session.
Mm-hmm.
It's going back, and it needs to ask something of Dave.
Yep.
So then it comes back in, and this are isolated.
Yeah, I
So it's
think that's
not
actually a better way to do it, because you might have had um, all kinds of decorations on this prompt. Like, it might
right.
be in
Yeah,
Chinese, but
exactly.
this function was coded in Bulgarian, and so
Right.
it needs to actually call back to the white box
Yeah,
to
that
be.
I think that's the right
Yeah,
approach.
yeah, okay,
So
I
my
accept that.
argument, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
cool.
cool.
Um, Yeah,
And then
we're on the same
just
page.
for extra clarity, once the chatting has occurred, then the function response would be sent back and the isolated execution would resume where the history was preserved here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's similar to a stack, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like
So
frames in the stack.
yeah, so
Yeah.
there's this. That's the context, and then it's like
Yeah.
now all we're doing is this. So
Right, so that's
here's
your
this thing, and then we stop that, and we come back up to this. So when we're talking here, all it's
mm,
interested in is the response,
mm.
and none of all this governs. But that response knows about the
Okay.
previous session.
All right, cool. So I'll do that. Now,
Yeah.
what's going to happen with these red boxes is they're going to start out being simple functions like I want to edit a file, I want to write a file, I want to delete a file, I want to show the file system contents, I want to loop over every file in this directory and apply this function. It's going to
Yeah.
be all sorts of things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's all the primitives you need to build increasingly complex systems.
It seems that way. I mean, if you were to go back to assembly, really all you've got is registers and instructions.
Yeah.
Um,
Right, and so there is some nuance here, like the concept of like the language is higher level, so it's sort of instead of like listing all the files in a directory like it ain't nothing to do, you need to be
mhm,
aware that it could be arbitrarily large, and so you only list like 20 at a time. Like you got to do some paging. You may wish to do
mhm,
like a regex filter on the file names. There's other kinds of tricks, I think, like the customer record name should represent the an index. So, for example,
mhm,
I'd suggest the file name be customer ID dash customer name dash
mhm,
customer address or something like that. So that if you want to
mhm,
search quickly, you just do you just list all the records, and then as you feed the records into the bot, it can sort of be like, oh, that one, that one, that one, that one. Oh, that, so the file name acts like an index, so it
mhm.
can quickly look up information rather than reading through each one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That works. That
something
works.
like that. Okay, so
The
this architecture is what we're going for, yeah?
the one thing I'd add to that is, say if you're in a process here and it's asking stuff of Dave,
Yeah.
we need to allow Dave to say, "Oh fuck it, life's too short. I
Yeah,
don't
but
want to do that."
that's up to this frame. This frame would decide not to continue on with the call that was made out here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
By this, you're talking about this session here
yeah,
is the thing that should be returned to if Dave says, "Oh fuck it, I can't be
yeah,
arsed."
correct. And
Yeah,
the bot that's driving this session would decide to abandon this frame.
yeah,
It
yeah,
may need to do some cleanup calls, like a graceful exit function call or something like that. But either
yeah,
way,
yeah. So if there's like a long form of 40 pages and
yep,
this is keeps on asking Dave for the next field,
yep,
the next field, the next field,
yep,
Dave goes, "Actually, I need to get my dinner now. I don't want to do this now."
yep.
Then the cleanup goes through. And it's like, is it as if this red part never happened and you're dumped back into the previous session?
Right, except the red part did happen, may have mutated or had some side effects, and so there'll be a cleanup call that will
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to
yeah,
run.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, now
Exactly. You got
what I'm
that.
going to do is I'm going to present that in the UI. I'm going to present that as though it's so here's one session. I'm going to present those tool calls as like a branch out the side, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just give you a very quick example. It's going to look like that.
Yeah, I think
So like
that
that's the
that
main.
looks pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That indenting thing is like you probably want to only have one indent. So if there's multiple red policies
Well,
all the way down,
that's just UI, but under the
yeah,
hood, it's going to be one indent per frame,
yeah.
so that the number of
So
indents
we're
represents
going
the
to go do
stack.
it down here. We need to do something complex.
Yeah,
I need to call
yeah,
another one
yeah.
as
And
something
and
less
you can
complex.
actually
So
get
then
some very
it's like,
complex graphs going on because you can you can return to the main branch
mm-hmm,
whilst you left something else executing.
mm-hmm,
So it
mm-hmm.
can still, the
And
branching
then it
model.
will async come back eventually,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you could
and
actually
then
see
update
these
at some point.
things continue on, even though you're back in your main session.
Yeah,
Like it's like a thread has run off.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, the
That works.
same,
That works really
I
sweet.
can do the
Yeah.
same for cron jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so the branch that you'll see pop up when a new cron job is triggered is the branch will go back to, you'll be able to navigate it back to when you set up the cron job, because that
Mm-hmm.
was sort of the last thing in that
Yeah.
thread,
That'd be
right?
nice.
But it sort of
Yeah,
pops up in your stream here is ordered in time,
yeah,
but these functions here are ordered in, they also express the relationship between their parent process.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I could ask how to remind me to turn up for dinner at 5 p.m. today, and
Yeah,
then go and talk about holidays.
yeah, and I think from that point of view, the architecture doesn't actually make Dave's session with Hal be anything special. It's just another process in the system, and it's just we
Mm-hmm.
make it look special because of the view that we have of that flow of sequence of events. But it's just another process in the system that's just
Yeah,
being driven forwards by the overall.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I agree. The
yeah,
um, the one thing I would say, and this is probably just UI, is context switch. If you are, as Dave, talking about holidays, and then you get Hal coming back saying, "Hey, you need to go to dinner now." It's like, why are you telling me to go to dinner? Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Set
if
a cron
you
job.
if
Yeah,
that yeah if that popped in, you should be able to trace back the why visually, because
yeah,
you're like, what triggered this event in the system is
yeah.
actually given by the history of
Right,
where
right.
that came from.
And that can be arbitrarily deep, of course.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and necessarily, at that point, something happens. There's an event here that you previously asked for. It's come
Yeah,
back async. So long as you understand why you tell me this,
yeah, yeah,
then you
yeah.
don't lose your train of
Right,
thought.
but
Okay.
you can
Yeah.
also interrogate the system in natural language to say why, because
Yeah.
these paths can be extraordinarily complicated, and so being able to just say why and then have Hal figure out
Yeah.
what it means, you'd be like, well, actually, you asked me back on the 25th of December that I should never again let you be late to dinner, and so here I am. Do you want to change that?
Right. 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 Yeah. No, I agree with all this. This is nice.
Okay. Okay,
It's
all
a
right,
nice way
cool.
of
So
doing it.
that's how I'll set up the plumbing, and then what you'll be left to do is you can write these little functions
Yep.
and test them. Um, I'll let you change anything in the system, including your own sysprompt, and I'll give you a hotkey to reset the system because I know that you'll ruin it.
Yes, undo would be good. And I've already started on a bot to create these system prompt
Right,
bots.
right. So that bot we would make as a little help, and then you would then apply that help to build other little helps, and then
Yeah,
you would call on those helps from within the tests or from within the main thread. And then I
yeah,
think that's how you start to publish these little natural language programs.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. And that top level bot to help build bots. Really needs to focus. This is what being. I guess this is my next task. I've been made some progress on it, but it's not good enough yet. Actually, prompts you for ambiguity. You know, if
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Yep.
I want a dinner.
Yeah, that's right.
Prompt.
But
So
at
it's like
that point,
simplistic.
that's just you're just back in
Yeah, it's
software
the ML
land.
world. Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just
exactly.
you've got
Yeah,
better tools, but you're doing the same game,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
iterate, fail, patch.
yeah, yeah. No, this is nice.
Alrighty, okay.
This is nice.
And what's good about that, from my point of view, is that all of these features are enabled with a very, very small plumbing code base,
Mm-hmm.
and there's very little actual unique code that isn't natural language.
Good.
And so the plumbing code is just can be actually labeled complete because
Mm.
it only has to do these features, and everything else
Yeah,
is user
yeah.
provided.
Bots all the way down. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's
Brilliant,
right. That's
brilliant.
right.
Okay, man.
Right. Well,
That
I'll
sounds
keep on it.
fucking awesome.
I'll keep you posted throughout the day. I'll try and publish in about 7 hours or so, I think.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I'll possibly, probably still be up at that point.
Yeah, we'll see how you
Um,
go.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
but yeah,
nice.
my goal is by your tomorrow, you should have at least enough to do the curtains app.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant.
So
The
yeah, so we'll
next thing
focus
I was,
on
yeah. Sorry, go on. Up to you.
we'll focus on that to get the curtains app up, and then you can have a poke around with the system. We'll probably have a couple of back and forths, but my goal is to give you enough tooling to make the curtains app in this using this natural language system.
Yeah, cool. Now, my next thing I was going to do is work on. So I showed you the CRUDbot. What I want to do is to ingest the raw data for the curtains thing that you provided,
Right.
and see how well it does just taking raw data. It's like, here's a
Okay.
catalog,
Okay. Cool.
and see how far it gets with that. I think it could be quite good, actually,
Cool.
but that's the next thing.
Okay.
All
That's
right, man.
awesome. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll speak soon.
Yeah. Stay soon.